All right, all right, all right. We are live. What's going on, Broncos fans? What's going on, Broncos country? Hope you guys are having a great day. Man, again, really excited to be getting this going. David talks Broncos. And I want to give a quick shout out here, really quick, before I dive into today's topic. Just shouting out some love to some commenters that have been joining in on the conversation recently. First off, thank you, Jose Plata, for this wonderful comment regarding my Spencer Rattler Bo Nix Senior Bowl highlights. He said, to be honest, I'd rather spend the 44th pick on Rattler, even if that's reaching a little, than send that pick in a 7th to Chicago for Fields. Rattler's still just a kid, so he's got a lot of room to mature. He seems genuinely interested in doing so. I'm with you. I think he's played his way into round 2. Some team is going to fall in love with him. Hey, appreciate that. I love that. Thanks for sticking with me. TD61 came in here, corrected me. Nix is 24 years old, not 26. So thank you. I told him I'd be sure to mention that in the next video. And Benagle coming in here saying he liked the footwork from Rattler at the Senior Bowl this week. I guess now the question is, can he deliver that poise under duress? We'll find out at some point, shall we? But hey, wanting to get into the conversation today, because I linked this in the description. A little bit of the DNVR show. They had a great one today for DNVR Broncos, talking with Field Yates a little bit, and this was really interesting what he was talking about. He was talking about how he thinks and he gets the idea that Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, they're going to pick a quarterback at 12. That's how he perceives this whole thing. He said something along the lines of like, they could risk it and try and trade back maybe 5-6 spots, right, to the later teens and take a quarterback while also trying to get some more draft capital. But if you are going to take him, if you're comfortable taking that quarterback, whoever it is, at 18, most likely you probably just want to take him at 12 and not even risk it, which I can understand. Now, am I possibly more risk adverse than some of the guys actually calling the shots and pulling the strings behind things? Absolutely. And that's why I say, you know what? You might as well take the risk, trade down. Man, if we can get another 3rd round pick or even get a 2nd round pick, right? I mean, wouldn't that be phenomenal to at least have one pick in every round, especially for a draft this deep? But he got to talking about some different quarterbacks that he thinks could be that selection there at 12. And I wanted to go through and kind of go through some of their strengths, weaknesses, and hear from your opinion, whether this is live in the live chat or in the comments later on. How do you feel about the Broncos, taking one of these guys in the first round, whether that's at 12 or 18 or, some point in the first round. So let's get to the first one. I think this one is definitely a little controversial. And I will say this is with the mindset that 1, 2, and 3 quarterbacks are Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, and Jayden Daniels in some sort of order. I know now Drake Maye is starting to be pushed to Chicago at that number 1 pick. So, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but I think all 3 of those guys will probably go top 5 and be out of reach for the Broncos. So then that leaves kind of that next tier. JJ McCarthy, you got Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, Michael Pratt. There might be some sub tiers within there, but that's kind of the next stage. Okay. And let's talk about, I don't have him as my QB4. Again, I'm kind of a Spencer Rattler stan. I like his arm talent, but I understand that somebody like JJ McCarthy is being talked about as potentially going in that first round. And it's probably the case that JJ McCarthy is seen higher than somebody like, me sitting in my bedroom talking about Spencer Rattler, that sees these guys. So I think right now, JJ McCarthy's probably that QB4 for most people. And you know what? How would I feel about the Broncos picking JJ McCarthy in the first round at 12? Wouldn't be my first choice, but I mean, I can get behind it. Before I go through this, courtesy to Pro Football Network for this as well. Check them out. I love a lot of their draft content, and they put it in very digestible formats. You can take a lot of info in really easily. But before I dive into this list of how they scouted him, some of the things I really like about JJ McCarthy, I think he's a great leader. I think he played well under the pressure and spotlight at Michigan. I think you've seen the flashes of arm talent that he shows. Obviously played behind a very, very good line at Michigan, where they were able to rely on the run game for that offense. And he got a lot of great protection at Michigan as well because of that offensive line. But from what I have seen, he stays in that pocket and he'll take hits to deliver those throws. And so I like that he's 6'2", 6'3". He meets that probably ridiculous height threshold that some of y'all might have along with myself. I'm 6'2". Ideally, I would like it if you're 6'2" and above to play quarterback. But if you have an exceptional arm talent, or you're able to navigate the pocket, manipulate the pocket really well. I mean, we are seeing now a lot of 6'1" quarterbacks have success. We know right now as Broncos fans, hey, when you're 5'10", maybe 5'11", that in your late 30s, it's probably not going to work. But that's a little gray area. But I think he does have JJ McCarthy is very toolsy. Okay. So let me read through this. Courtesy of Pro Football Network again. Has whip-like velocity to fit throws past extremely tight coverages and at all ranges. And yes, I think he can make all the NFL throws. I don't think he has the best arm in this class from what I see, but he has a good release. He has a good zip on the ball. He can struggle a little bit with consistency, but you've seen him make some really impressive throws in tight windows. Can throw high velocity ropes with little strain, has a crisp right angle release, uses sidearm and obtuse underhand releases to protect throwing windows from threats. I think he does do that very well. Superb athlete and creator with high level speed, agility, and evasive explosiveness. I don't know if I would call him a dual threat, but I think he has good running ability, good scrambling ability. Adaptable in the pocket, improved his poise and navigation and congestion in 2023. Can use short area agility, flexibility, and burst to snake through tiny pocket creases. Generally has good aerial accuracy, routinely giving his receivers a chance to make plays. Can beautifully layer velocity and touch on seam throws to hit receivers in stride. Good mechanics, can look off safeties, has shown the ability to anticipate at a high level, able to work on high to low progressions, peel off vertical routes and triggers on reads, can quickly process velocity and leverage mismatches in the deep third, triggering early. Lastly, has good baseline competitive toughness as a runner and is willing to finish forward. Again, with his weaknesses, some of these we've already covered on the show a little bit. Frame, he's a little thin, okay? Pressure threats can cause him to drop his eyes, hesitate, pause mid-release. Can drift into pressure. Will sometimes lock on in predetermined throws and force passes against tight coverage. He does do that. He does throw some of those risky throws. Can fail to see looming linebackers on short passes, okay? Ill-advised throws sometimes. Biggest thing is just really consistency. But you've seen kind of those high-level throws, granted not many of them, and one of the concerns is, hey, why didn't Michigan play through him more if he was that good, right? Jim Harbaugh's talking about that, how he's going to be the first quarterback taken. I mean, that's not going to happen. That's coach speak. But if he really was that good, why aren't you playing through him more? Hard to argue, though, when you go undefeated playing the way that you do. But I do like the fact, I think if McCarthy is a first-round pick, whether it's by the Denver Broncos or somebody else, it's because of his potential. It's because he just turned 21, 2 weeks ago or a week ago? He's very young. And other guys that we're talking about, Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, all these guys are 23, 24 already. Okay. Might JJ McCarthy have a higher ceiling than those guys? I think it sounds like people in the media or NFL draft people, they think that that's probably the case. I haven't seen anybody put Michael Penix or Spencer Rattler that I know of, for instance, up at QB4. And yeah, we'll get into Bo Nix here in a bit, but overall, it's interesting. Heading into 2023, they had him grayed out as a day 2 prospect, and I don't think they've updated this yet. But yeah, he's a very hard evaluation because yeah, you just haven't seen him be that guy. He hasn't had the pressure put on him to win a game. And oh, hey, my friend Zane's here in the chat. Appreciate it. Let me get to his comment, and then we can move on to Bo Nix after this. Say the Broncos draft someone like McCarthy and maybe trade Judy away. How long of a rebuild would be acceptable for fans? 5 years? And rebuild means to get back into the consistent playoff picture. Man, I don't think Broncos are patient enough for 5 years. I think Sean Payton signed a 5-year deal, if I remember correctly. So this would be something where, hey, if you draft McCarthy, I would say you probably give yourself maybe 2 years of, hey, things not looking that pretty. But by that 3rd year, you want to be in playoff contention. And I mean, this roster, it does have some holes to that we really do have to fill. If we're able to trade away Judy and get a 3rd back, that would be phenomenal. I don't know if that's reasonable right now. My guess is it's probably some sort of day 3 pick, hopefully a high day 3 pick. But let's restructure Courtland Sutton. I would love to keep a veteran wide receiver on the roster right now if we are going with a rookie quarterback. But, I do wonder if Sean Payton sees some of the same qualities that he saw in Drew Brees and JJ McCarthy. I mean, kind of funny enough, Drew Brees was a 2nd-round pick as well. He was a guy that was not projected to, if I remember correctly, to be a 1st-round pick coming out of Purdue. And he's somebody that was developed, had some great years, good years at the San Diego Chargers, but obviously it wasn't to the point where they could pass up somebody like Phillip Rivers, and you saw him elevate his play under somebody like Sean Payton to Hall of Fame status. So could McCarthy be that pick? I think definitely right now for his production and the question marks that we have on JJ McCarthy, 12 is too high. Like, I think it is, but I do think it is going to be a possibility. And you could see him going to a team like the Broncos or the Minnesota Vikings because of his ceiling and because he is so young. And so I can get behind it. I will get excited about it, to be honest, if the Broncos just choose any quarterback to get behind because we just haven't supported a young quarterback like that, in a very, very long time. So, yeah, we'll just have to see. Not the ideal scenario for me, but it's something that I can get warmed up to, even if I don't think McCarthy is a 1st-round talent. It is what it is. It's in today's NFL. But thank you for that question, Zane. But now the other quarterback that Field Yates brought up on the show was Bo Nix. And this is one where, like, if I had to rank my quarterbacks right now, I would rank Spencer Rattler at number 4. I would rank JJ McCarthy at number 5 and Bo Nix at number 6, or Michael Penix, I guess. Michael Pratt, like, throw those guys around. I don't really care too much, but let's go ahead and read the scouting report for Bo Nix. I am shocked that some people in Denver media seem to be very high on Bo Nix. And I mean, the guy's average depth of target was like 6 yards. Over 50% of his completions were coming from like at or behind the line of scrimmage, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I don't get it. He's older as well. But hey, maybe a team might fall in love with his personality and all of that. But I feel like Spencer Rattler, JJ McCarthy, those guys are leaders. They're good. I like specifically with Spencer Rattler that he's a little cocky. Like I like that. I like that. He plays with a lot of tenacity on the field. Okay. Well, let's get into the strengths. Fleet footed, high energy athlete with superb change of direction, burst, demands respect as a runner, definitely a dual threat, generates easy velocity with a snappy fluid release, can do so from all platforms, hyper elite arm elasticity. Okay. Um, Composite arm talent allows him to layer, pace, and touch on seam and hash throws, has high level creation capability, and can slither out of congested pockets. Flexibility and high energy, corrective mechanical fail safe allows to amounts to effortless torque. Able to keep his eyes up, working off script and quickly trigger. He's very good when he's moving outside the pocket, most definitely when things break down. Actively diagnoses mismatches pre-snap. That uses that information to operate post-snap. Has shown he can anticipate second window throws over the middle of the field. Can anticipate throwing windows outside the numbers and place passes to wide receiver leverage. Hey, we saw a lot of that against my Colorado Buffaloes last year. Able to quickly identify and trigger on speed mismatches when wide receivers track vertically. All of that. Weaknesses, arm strength, while great, falls short of the quantifiably elite mark. Doesn't always have elite drive velocity on his throws. Lack of rhythm with footwork can delay early reads. Sometimes relies on his creation capacity to a fault. Sometimes hesitate and clutches onto the ball after correctly anticipating breaks. I think he had one of the longest, times to throw between snap and when he threw in college football. Lack of rhythm with footwork can delay early reads, forcing the need to improvise. Drifts too much with his footwork. Can improve it staying on schedule from progression to progression after first reads. Doesn't force throws, but sometimes holds onto the ball too long. That's kind of what I was getting at, and works into a corner. But Bo Nix, I do feel like a lot of that offense there at Oregon was manufactured for him. One read system, all of that. I can get behind JJ McCarthy. I can get behind the intangibles. I can get behind, the small, amounts of those flashes that we've seen. Bo Nix, I'll be honest, is a lot harder for me to get behind at 12 or even as a first round pick. I'm going to be honest. Like, I feel like the change might be too much for him compared to somebody like JJ McCarthy, who's already been playing in a pro style offense there at Michigan. And I feel like, hey, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Payton, if he does go quarterback in the first round, right? We spend that third or fourth round pick on a running back. We go offensive line. We go running back with one of those picks. Get somebody like Bucky Irving or, who is that? Marshawn Lloyd, that running back out of USC. Let's get another playmaker, game breaker at the running back position, because I think regardless of who we bring in, if we're going to bring in somebody in those lower tiers outside the top three quarterbacks, we're going to need to have a stout running game and continue to run primarily while we have a rookie quarterback getting ready to go or, getting them comfortable at first as a starter. We can't put too much on their shoulders at once. So I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this, what you guys think. Would you be okay if the Broncos used a first-round pick on any of these guys outside of Jayden Daniels, Drake Maye, and Caleb Williams? You can sell me on JJ McCarthy, but Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, and ideally with JJ McCarthy, like I would like to see them in the second round or lower. But I understand that McCarthy's probably going to be a first-round pick based off of his age and ceiling. So y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please hit that like and subscribe. Working my way to 100 subs. I'm almost about at about 6,700 on my Buffs channel. So trying to catch up to that too. So subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify. Appreciate your time as always, everybody. And hey, go Broncos.